All right, good afternoon, everyone. Paul and Stephen, are we ready to go?
I believe we are ready.
Today is August 24th. The time now is 1:31. And as chair, I'd like to call the CPC meeting for today to order. We'll start with a roll call of all commissioners present. Commissioner Alexander,
Present.
Commissioner Brown,
Present.
Commissioner Flick,
Present.
Commissioner Lund,
Present.
Commissioner Stewart is present. And did any other commissioners join that I did not see enter in? All right, so let the record reflect, we do have a quorum with 5 of commissioners. All right. Next, I'll read the rules into the record for today's meeting. Special public hearing rules. The order of business at the hearing shall be as follows. A call to order and roll call with the recording of members present, approval of the minutes, reading of the hearing rules, presentation of docket, staff presentations, applicant presentations, questions from members, a recess for 30 minutes, consideration of the docket, public comment, rebuttal by the applicant, questions from members, voting adjournment. Presentation of the docket. The order of business for each docket shall be as followed. Presentation by the City Planning Commission staff, presentation by the applicant or their representatives, the appellate or the applicant may appear on their behalf or be represented by a duly authorized agent. Only one representative may speak on behalf of a request and must pre-register with the staff of the City Planning Commission. Other representatives or speakers may sign up to provide comments during the public comment portion of the meeting. The applicant shall be allowed a maximum of 2 minutes. Questions from members. The members will have an opportunity to ask questions of the staff or applicant. The commission shall take a 30-minute recess to allow members of the public to comment. Rules. Only written public comment will be allowed. Live public comment will not be allowed. No member of the public may submit more than one written comment per agenda item. Time allowed for public comment. The public comment form will be made available at the start of the meeting and will close at the end of the 30-minute recess. Form. Public comments must be submitted electronically on the form provided by the City Planning Commission. Any comment missing this information will not be read aloud. Each submission must contain the commenter's first and last name, the commenter's address, and where the commenter is being paid in connection with his or her comments, and also the agenda item. Reading of public comments. A moderator will read into record all comments pertaining to that item that has been submitted in accordance with these rules. Comments will be read aloud in a normal speaking voice. The moderator will discontinue reading a comment once it exceeds 2 minutes. Following the public comment period, if there's opposition, the authorized representative of the applicant is allowed to rebuttal not to exceed 2 minutes. Following the public comment rebuttal, members have an opportunity to ask a question of the staff or applicant. Making a motion. The member making a motion shall clearly state their name when making a motion. For example, I, Commissioner Stewart, move to approve the request. Seconding a motion. The member seconding the motion shall clearly state their name when seconding the motion. For example, I, Commissioner Stewart, second the motion made by Commissioner Alexander. Statement by chair. The chair will restate the motion, confirming who made and seconded the motion. Voting. The chair will request a verbal vote from each member by roll call. Each member will indicate yay to vote in support of the motion or nay to vote in opposition. We'll now move to approval of the minutes for the August 10th, 2021 meeting. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I don't know if you had my attendance. I came in while you were reading, so I'm here also, Commissioner Steig.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Steig.
Commissioner Witry is here as well.
Okay.
And I will make a motion to approve the August 10th meeting minutes.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Witry to approve the minutes from the August 10th, 2021 meeting. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it, Commissioner Lund.
Commissioner Lund has seconded that motion. Is there any further discussion on the motion that's on the floor? Is there any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. Commissioner Alexander.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Flick.
Yes.
Commissioner Lund.
Yes.
Commissioner
My name is
Steig.
Taylor Smith Owens.
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart, yes. Commissioner Witry.
Yes.
All right, unanimous support for the motion for approval of minutes, and that motion is carried. Next, we'll move to election of commissioner officers. At this time now, commissioners, do we have a motion for our new officers for chair and vice chair?
Commissioner Witry will make a motion to have Commissioner Flick move into chair position and Commissioner Sue Mobley to move into vice chair position.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Witchery. I have a motion to move Commissioner Flick into chair and Commissioner Sue Mobley into vice chair. Is there a second to that motion?
I will second that, Commissioner Lund.
All right, that motion has been seconded by Commissioner Lund. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Any further discussion on that motion? If there's no further discussion on the motion, I'll call the question. Commissioner Alexander,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Flick,
Yes.
Commissioner Lund,
Yes, and thank you.
Commissioner Steeg,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart, yes, Commissioner Witchery.
Absolutely.
All right, unanimous support for that motion. Now we will continue on and move into our actual zoning dockets with our first zoning docket 5721.
Zoning docket 5721 is a conditional use request for a new fast food restaurant and drive-through at the intersection of Carrollton and Tulane Avenues in Mid-City. Pursuant to Table 15.1, a drive-through is a conditional use in the MU2 district. Additionally, pursuant to Article 18, Section 8.5.b, a drive-through is a conditional use in the HUC restriction overlay. The site is currently developed with a fast food restaurant and drive-through, Nola Chick, which was formerly Burger King. The applicants propose to demolish the existing structure and develop the site with a new fast food restaurant and associated drive-through. The proposal includes a 2,656 square foot fast food restaurant with 2 drive-through lanes, 30 stacking spaces, and 19 off-street parking spaces. There are no dine-in services, but there is a walk-up window with an outdoor dining area that seats 12 people. The proposed fast food restaurant has a suburban-style, auto-centric design that is fundamentally inconsistent with the development goals for this location that are within the master plan, the MU2 base zoning district, and the EC overlay district. The master plan and zoning districts see development that is positioned along the street's edge with building design that encourages pedestrian activity, bike use, and transit use. Buildings are to have entrances and windows that face the sidewalk rather than parking areas. Parking areas are to be small in size and positioned to the rear of buildings so that they are not readily viewed from the street. The master plan and zoning ordinance set these design standards support the continued transformation of the Tulane Avenue corridor that has occurred since Hurricane Katrina. The creation of an urban, walkable, transit supporting environment that provides housing, commercial, and employment opportunities to the larger region. This transformation has been realized to an extent through the construction of new, typically multi-story residential, mixed-use, and institutional development, much of which has been spurred by the construction of the University Medical Center and the Veterans Affairs Hospital campuses. This fast food restaurant has the potential to provide an important, well-designed bookend to the Tulane Avenue corridor at the highly prominent corner of Tulane and South Carrollton Avenues, an entry point into the city from Airline Highway. To do this, its design must be very substantially modified to fit the emerging urban context of Tulane Avenue and the development goals for the corridor that the city has set forth through its master plan. The following design changes must be made. The building must be positioned at the corner of Tulane and Carrollton Avenues. Outdoor seating areas must be located at the front of the building. Parking areas must be relocated from the front of the site to the rear of the building. The number of parking spaces must be reduced. The curb cut along Tulane Avenue must be reduced in width and replaced with multiple one-way curb cuts. Landscaping must be installed along Tulane and Carrollton Avenues to shade the sidewalks, and the amount of vehicular circulation space on the site must be reduced to reduce conflicts between vehicles and pedestrians, beautify the site, and increase permeable open space so as to reduce the potential for stormwater runoff and flooding. These changes will bring the development more in line with the increasingly urban character of Tulane Avenue, cause it to meet the design requirements of the master plan and zoning ordinance, and will set a standard for high quality design elsewhere in the corridor and throughout the city. The design changes will have functional benefits to the operators and customers by allowing the restaurant to better serve customers, walking, biking, and using transit, while also allowing it to accommodate a large number of vehicles on site. Therefore, the staff recommends approval of zoning docket 5721, subject to 13 provisos.
All right, thank you. And at this time, do we have a representative to speak on this zoning docket?
Hi, Mr. Chair. It's Mike Sherman.
Okay. All right, Mike, please state your name and address for the record, and you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Really proud to be here on behalf of Chick-fil-A, Mike Sherman, 800 Barone Street. And Chick-fil-A has been really specific about what location it wanted to choose. Our marching orders, the broker Kirsten Early, who's on the line, and us, was to make sure we found a site that was properly zoned, and that's exactly what Chick-fil-A found here, was a legal non-conforming use on the Tulane Avenue corridor that housed a Burger King, which allowed a fast food restaurant and allowed a drive-through. So we were really intentional about choosing a site where we could do an adaptive reuse and move into it. But we chose not to do that. After really studying the site very closely, it was clear that a more efficient site layout was really important. And as we went through the neighborhood engagement process, what became abundantly clear is that efficiency of site operations was the single most important thing to make sure that we can properly handle the volume of customers coming onto the site and leaving the site. I want to take a brief moment to acknowledge someone on the line with us. I'm proud to introduce Ben McLeish, who may be known to some of you. He is a local New Orleanian, the St. Roch resident, and he is the new owner-operator of this Chick-fil-A location. And he's been working with us in the community to make sure we come up with a design that works really well. Staff has done a great job, as usual, with the report and recommendation. So rather than recapping anything that staff said, I do want to point the one major difference that we have and ask for your support of the location, but with the change in a number of provisos. The pedestrian-oriented walkable changes to reduce parking on site, to reduce the amount of circulation, those are both provisos, and get this building right up to Tulane Avenue or within 20 feet of it, are going to interfere with the efficiency of this operation. We've got a sophisticated client and a great engineering firm. They're on the line as well today if we have any questions for them. And the site design is so particular here to make sure that we can accommodate the vehicles in the double stacking lanes. So while we very much appreciate staff's commitment to progress on the Tulane Avenue corridor, what the near neighbors, the adjacent neighbors, and the stakeholders have told us is we want this site to function well. And to do that, we've got to be able to properly stack cars on the site, have them enter and exit. The curb cuts, for example.
Mr. Sherman, that ends your time now for your 2 minutes. At this time, commissioners, if you have any questions from Mr. Sherman on staff as relates to the zoning docket.
I would like to ask Mr. Sherman to go ahead and just continue with this last request.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll be very brief, but provisos 12 and 13 ask us to reduce circulation and reduce parking spaces. There's only 19 spaces here. So we ask for us to be able to keep the proper circulation and the amount of proposed spaces. The provisos 4B and 4D are curb cuts and driveways. These are existing and they're regulated by the DOTD. So we ask for those provisos to come out. And then finally, provisos 1A on the structure near the lot line, we ask that come out so that we can have an improvement onto the existing design. And then there are 2 waivers staff identified, and we ask for those to be approved. Happy to chat more about those and answer questions now or later.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Sherman. Are there any more questions for Mrs. Sherman or staff as relates to zoning docket 5721? Any additional questions? All right, there are no further questions. Thank you, Mr. Sherman, and we will continue on to zoning docket 6821.
Thank you.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Samir Mowad. I'm the Senior Vice President and General Manager at Harris, New Orleans. And
What about
Yeah,
the staff presentation?
right.
oh, sorry, my bad.
Yep, so just bear with us.
Zoning docket 6821 is a request by the City of New Orleans to amend or rescind ordinances number 17,797 MCS zoning docket 196 and 16,302 MCS zoning docket 11193 and any other prior ordinances to update the conditional use approval for an existing casino in a CBD4 exposition district. This update is being done in conjunction with the construction of a new hotel on the site. The site includes the entirety of Square RS in the First Municipal District, bounded by Canal Street, Convention Center Boulevard, South Peter Street, and Pointer Street. The municipal addresses are 4 to 8 Canal Street. The purpose of this amendment is to update the existing ordinance for the casino, which is a conditional use in this district, to account for the changes to the casino and the site plan. The request involves the renovation and expansion of the existing Harris Casino, installation of enhanced streetscapes, and the construction of a new hotel at the site to keep in line with the rebranding of the Harris enterprise into Caesars Entertainment. The rebranding is also in line with Caesars Entertainment obtaining naming rights to the Superdome, which will feature a similar design facade. In total, the development is to increase in size from the existing 367,244 square feet of existing casino space to 640,920 square feet. And then this proposal also promotes and supports shopping along the Canal Street corridor and neighboring Riverwalk Marketplace, as it will bring even more pedestrian traffic to the area. Staff finds that the proposal generally meets the design and landscaping requirements of the CZO, and that the request preserves the character and integrity of adjacent development and neighborhoods and supports the goals of the master plan. Therefore, the staff recommends approval of zoning docket 6821, subject to 3 provisos. The staff also wants to add that under proviso 3, letter K, on page 33 of the staff report, staff mentioned that the applicant needs to provide 2 additional off-street loading spaces. The applicant currently provides 5 existing spaces, therefore no additional spaces are required.
And I think we need to tell our four-legged friend that objections come later.
All right. Thank you, Valerie. At this time now, do we have the representative from Harris to speak on behalf of zoning docket 6821? Please state your name, address for the record, and you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Commissioners. This is Samir Mowad. I'm Senior Vice President and General Manager for Harris, New Orleans. Sorry about my premature start there. This is my first presentation of the commission, and I was apparently raring and ready to go. So we appreciate the opportunity to work with staff and with the commission, particularly Stephen Kroll's been super helpful as we've tried to work through our project, and we're given the privilege to help improve the casino and bring this project to life. In general, we're accepting and understanding of the provisos that were put forth, other than a couple that besides the one that was noted already about the parking spaces, that I'd like to just throw out there. Proviso 3A that deals with compliance with multimodal and pedestrian corridor design standards, which speaks specifically to 50% transparency. This does not apply to existing building and site conditions. And so we believe that we're compliant there with the work being done only at our entrances, and with the hotel, it's all of the entrances are being redone in a way that we feel meets this. We have 2 provisos, Proviso 3B on exterior lighting and Proviso 3J for short-term bicycle parking, that we would like to ask for a waiver on the lighting, because it allows us to both enhance design standards and provide for a safer environment around the building. And the short-term parking the bicycle parking, just in the sense of we already have 40 spots that do not really ever fill up completely, and also the standard for where the racks would have to be placed based on the design becomes very difficult. And then for 3G, the building encroachments, we're going to work through that to see where we stand in our lease. We think we're compliant, but in the event that we're not, we'll figure it out. And then, as I mentioned, the loading spaces were already addressed. So with that, we respectfully make those requests and accept the rest of the provisos and appreciate the assistance of the city and staff.
All right, thank you so much. So commissioners, at this time now, do you have any questions for the representative or staff as it relates to zoning docket 6821?
This is Commissioner.
Commissioner Flick, you're on mute. Yeah.
I know. Here I go. This is for the applicant. I just curious as to what specifically can you not meet in regards to Proviso 3B as it relates to exterior lighting?
So it's not that we can't meet it, but it just requests that all the lighting be below 15 feet. And we're asking that it be allowed above 15 feet because, again, for two primary reasons. Number one being it allows for better design enhancement with the lighting. And the second piece of it, and probably the more important piece of it, being with some new lighting above 15 feet, it allows us to really lighten up some of the dark areas around the casino where, we're constantly working to ensure safety and security around the building, but this would just assist with that as well.
I see. Thank you.
Any additional questions?
I have a question. This is for staff. I'd like to know the response for the applicant's request to be relieved from the transparency, the 50% transparency.
This is Stephen. I think I can speak to that. So the proviso, or rather the 50% requirement, applies only to the new construction component, which is primarily the hotel at the convention center in Canal Street corner. So what I heard from Mr. Mowat is that they think they're compliant with that. Do want to emphasize that it does not apply to the existing building or existing conditions. So really just the new tower would be subject to that requirement. It sounds like we had a brief email correspondence this morning. It sounds like based off of that clarification, they may be, I don't want to speak for him, but they may be comfortable with Proviso.
Yeah, I would like to know if that's the understanding of the applicant, because that's what I understood from the report, that it was just the new part. So I didn't know if that's what you were speaking to, Mr. Mowat.
Yes, ma'am. Just because it was in the proviso, we thought it was worth mentioning, but we do believe we're already compliant with it. And I guess I'll be so transparent myself as to say that unless we're completely misinterpreting something about this, we think we're gonna meet the requirement. And so we'll make sure we do, I guess.
Okay, so it sounds like there is no real need for that to be, that's not a request of you to have that taken out then. If you're
correct, yes, ma'am.
You're deeming yourself compliant as it is. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Are there any additional questions? All right, Mr. Moore, thank you for being here. And at this time now, I'm gonna ask that our vice chair and new chair our new chair, Commissioner Flick, take over with the rest of the agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner Stewart. Nothing like jumping in. Next zoning docket.
Zoning docket 6921 is a request by SLS Studios LLC for a zoning change from an HURD2 historic urban 2-family residential district to an MU2 high-intensity mixed-use district. The petition site is located on Square 108, Lot 8X1, in the first municipal district, bounded by Market Street, Annunciation Street, Chippewa Street, Felicity Street, and St. James Street. The municipal addresses are 826 to 836 Market Street and 1663 Chippewa Street. This is a request to rezone an undeveloped, underutilized lots in an HURD2 historic urban two-family district to an MU2 high-intensity mixed-use district. The proposal is to allow the construction of a secondary office building for Second Line Studios and to create a landscape parking area on the premises as well. The request of an MU2 district is not the most restrictive zoning available to allow the proposed use. Less intensive zoning districts such as HUB1A, HUB1, and HUMU historic urban districts, as well as MU1 medium intensity mixed use district, would also allow for the office space. However, the applicant's primary offices are located directly across the street from the petition sites in the neighboring MU2 districts. In addition to commercial offices, this MU2 zoning would allow for a variety of other high intensity uses, such as coffee shops, retail stores, bars, and more. The applicant also states in their application that the MU2 district will require that they provide more on-street parking spaces, which would reduce the size and scale of their proposed footprint. But the rezoning of this site to the requested MU2 district is not allowable under the master plan. The master plan designates the site as residential low-density pre-war, and the MU2 zoning district is not consistent with that designation, thus it cannot be approved. Other commercial districts may be deemed consistent with the site's master plan designation, depending on how the designation's description is interpreted. However, any commercial zoning designation will create a spot zone here, as it would be the only commercial zoning within the petition square. Though the site has a history of commercial zoning, it does not qualify under the historic non-conforming use policy, as the site is currently undeveloped and has lost any historic non-conforming use status. Therefore, the staff recommends denial of zoning docket 6921.
Thank you. Do we have anyone representing the applicant?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you please state your name and address for record?
Yes. My name is Trey Bravant with Second Line Studios at 800 Richard Street.
Thank you. You have 2 minutes.
Great. So thank you, Commission, for your report. We just wanted to say a couple of things. Obviously, this lot has been out of use for a long time. It has a history of low intensity commercial use over the last 30 years. And we have just recently applied for a re-subdivision to reflect its historical use as one parcel. Yes, as you stated before, even though historically it has been used as steel storage lot, you mentioned that that really doesn't matter at the moment. And the parcel has had many non-conforming uses over the last couple of years. As part of this process, we worked really closely with our neighbors. We met representatives 4 different times to get their input, especially the neighbors who were represented on either side of us on Chippewa Street as part of the NPP process. We also conducted a not requested but additional meeting on August 10th, 2021 to kind of take some feedback from the neighbors and redesign what we were looking to do on the property to create a more comfortable development for them. And we are still actively revising those plans, and we will continue to work and listen with our immediate neighbors. Based on your recommendation of the denial of MU2, I'd like to say that the properties on either side are zoned accordingly. If the commission is favorable, we are happy to accept a more restrictive classification of MU1. Any plans we want to do can still be accommodated under this zoning classification. But saying that, we would still like to request that we have time to go back to our neighbors and look at the design to make sure that we are doing everything that we need to do within the design process as we are developing other parcels on adjacent lots in our MU2 area. So we would like to humbly ask for a deferral request at this moment to the next meeting so we can have time to look at the design under the MU1 and talk to our neighbors and make sure that everything we're doing works together on the project.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for the applicant or for the applicant from the commission or for staff?
I have a question. When is this on deadline, Stephen? Do you know?
Yeah, let me check. I mean, we're not up against the deadline, so there's an ability to defer it. The deadline is September 18th, which means it could be deferred to the next meeting on September 14th. It would be on deadline at that.
Thank you, Stephen. To the applicant, I do appreciate you asking for an extension, because after reading the neighbors' comments and writing in the application, I think it would be best interest to at least go back to them. So I appreciate you recognizing that.
Yeah, and yes, we've met with them several times, and we're trying to create forging a better relationship, because we know that it's very it's very tough being with such a high density use, being right next to a residential use, and you know, we want to make sure that we make sure they're taken care of.
Appreciate that.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions from any other commissioners? If not, we'll move on to the next zoning docket, 7021.
Zoning docket 7021 is a request by 301 Cherokee LLC for a conditional use to permit an indoor amusement facility and a bar with live entertainment secondary use in an HMC2 Historic Marigny Treme Bywater Commercial District, and the rescission of ordinance number 27559 MCS, which previously granted a conditional use to permit a reception facility at this site. The municipal addresses are 2231 St. Claude Avenue and 1100 Marigny Street. The public notice for the August 24th, 2021 City Planning Commission hearing only mentioned the conditional use request for the indoor amusement facility portion, but failed to mention the conditional use request for a bar and live entertainment secondary use, which results in the published and mailed notice being incomplete. Therefore, the staff recommends deferral of zoning docket 7021 to the September 14th, 2021 City Planning Commission hearing to allow adequate time to renotice the request.
Thank you, Rachel. At this point, do we allow the applicant to say anything if we know that it's being deferred?
If they are here and want to make a statement, that's fine, but I'm not even sure if they're here or not.
I'm
Is
here.
anyone...
Oh, go ahead.
Hi, Becca. Would you like to say something?
No, I'm just here if there's any questions, and to say that we're working with staff on the deferral and fully aware of what's going on.
Okay, great. Are there any questions from commissioners for staff or the applicant at this point? If not, we'll just go on to the next zoning docket, 1421, the subdivision docket 1421.
Commissioner Flick, I'm going to recuse myself from this zoning docket.
Thank you. Please note Commissioner Witry has recused yourself for zoning docket 1421.
This is a subdivision docket 1421. This is a request to create 40 new residential lots of record across two city squares, Square 240A and 241, which are bound by Martin Luther King Boulevard, Baron Street, Erado Street, and Carondelet Street. In addition, the proposed subdivision will create access to a new private street in the location of the former Thalia Street, reinstating connections to Thalia, which is eventually to be made public. This proposal is a reconsideration of a previously tentatively approved subdivision, which considered the creation of 45 lots, the same new private street in the location of former Thalia Street, and a pocket park area. The tentative approval granted by the City Planning Commission on March 23rd, 2021, was contingent on zoning docket 00421, the text amendment to amend Articles 5 and 18 of the CZO to be approved by the City Council, which would have modified the minimum lot size requirement of the MU2 district, such that the originally proposed lots, which did not meet the current lot size requirement in the MU2 district, would comply with the new lot size requirements. The City Council did not adopt any ordinance modifying these lot size requirements. Therefore, the City Planning Commission could not grant final approval to the originally proposed subdivision. The applicant subsequently submitted a revised survey, which you are now looking at, which would create 40 lots instead of the 45 previously proposed, that would all meet the current minimum lot size requirements of the MU2 district. The revised survey will still create access to a new private street in the location of former Thalia Street, reinstating connections to Thalia Street. The revised proposal would re-subdivide lot BB3 into lots 30 through 41, and lot BB1 into lots 1 through 8, 8A, 9 through 13, 15 through 19, 21 through 29, and a private street. The 40 proposed lots would vary in size from 3,127 square feet to 3,838 square feet, and would all have frontage on a public or private street. Previously proposed lot P, which was to be used as an open space pocket park between the private street and 7 of the previously proposed lots, requiring a servitude to provide public access to these lots, was removed from this revised survey. Therefore, waiver number 2 and proviso number 7, originally recommended by staff, are no longer necessary. For the same reasons as previously considered, staff recommends approval of the proposed subdivision, subject to 1 waiver and 10 proviso.
Thank you. Is there an applicant on the call?
Hi, this is Mike Sherman, 800 Brown Street.
Thank you, Mike. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Sabine, for a great staff report. Thank you, staff, for a good report. We ask for your support again. This modified resub just brings the lots into conformity with the underlying district standards. We have just 1 request today. We've actually started putting Thalia Street back. So if you drive by former Brown's Dairy, you'll see the demolition is just about complete, or within a couple of weeks, and then we'll quickly switch to the reconstruction of Thalia Street. The proviso requires that we either complete Thalia Street or post a bond prior to finalizing the re-subdivision. Because we're already underway, we are requesting a 3rd option, which is an irrevocable letter of credit that we can place up so that the city would have a guarantee that we complete Thalia Street. We hired a local contractor to perform the work. Obviously, it will be to DPW and Sewage and Water Board standards. So our 1 request is that 5A, which allows for a bond or completion of the street, be modified to also include an irrevocable letter of credit as an option.
Thank you, Mr. Sherman. Staff, is there any issue with doing that for that proviso?
No, actually, Mike reached out to us about this a few days ago, and we, staff, are the ones who told him that he could ask you, Commission, to waive that proviso or modify the requirement, as long as there's an arrangement that ensures that the city doesn't get stuck paying for the street improvements in the event that the applicant was to abandon the project or something like that. So as long as there is language to that effect, it's something that you can consider.
So Commissioner Steig, a question for council. Missy, are you on the call? I don't have everybody's face in front of me.
I'm here.
So if we were inclined to do that, would letters of credit can have all kinds of different provisions? Would we just phrase it to be a letter of credit that's approved by the city attorney's office?
Yeah, that's the best way to do it.
Okay, and Mr. Sherman, that's all right with you?
Thank you, Commissioner. That would be great.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the applicant or for staff in regards to this subdivision docket? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next subdivision docket 8621.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Subdivision docket 08621 is a request to consolidate lots 1, 2, portion of 3 and 4, 3, Z, portion of 2, A4, R, S, and portion of 12 and Q into lot LB1. The subject site is located on Square 902 in the 7th Ward within an HUB1 Historic Urban Neighborhood Business District. The petition property was previously developed with a commercial building, Liberty Bank, which was demolished in 2017. Adjacent to the petition site is the Nora Navara Library, also located on Square 903. The proposed subdivision request is doubtful because it creates a reversal of lot frontage and multiple frontages lot conditions.
In regard to the reversal of lot frontage condition, proposed lot LB1 would consolidate the existing lots to create the reversal of lot frontage, to create a reversal of lot frontage condition. The staff found that this proposal would not create any unfavorable conditions listed in section 518 of the subdivision regulations. Further, the reversal of lot frontage, which will result in placing lot frontages on major streets, such as this proposal, will generally be acceptable. In regard to the multiple lot frontage condition, while the petition site is currently vacant, there is a similar development pattern in the area and across the city where large residential developments or institutional uses such as hospitals or schools are developed on larger lot plats with multiple street frontages. There are a number of developments in the immediate vicinity of the site that are constructed upon larger parcels with at least one double frontage condition. The staff believes that the proposed subdivision partially satisfies the second exception criterion outlined in Article 5, in that it would be located in an established urban environment in which a similar development pattern already exists in the surrounding blocks. The staff believes that the proposal complies with the subdivision regulations and the request constitutes an improvement over the original plat, and the proposal is consistent with the master plan. Thus, tentative approval of subdivision docket 08621 is recommended, subject to 3 provisos.
Thank you, Haley. Do we have someone representative of the owner on the call, the applicant?
Yes, this is Miles Granderson, 800 Barone, representing the applicant. Some of you may be familiar with this project. It is helmed by Liberty Bank and several other partners, and the ultimate project will be affordable senior housing right there on St. Bernard Avenue. And this re-subdivision allows the building to get built on the footprint, and it's going to be a great project for the city and for the area. And we're happy to answer any questions either now or later, but I think this seems a pretty straightforward one. Thank you.
Thank you, Miles. Do any commissioners have any questions for the applicant or for staff?
No.
Seeing none, we'll move on to the next docket item, subdivision docket 8721.
Subdivision docket 8721 is a request to create 3 lots from 2 existing lots, a corner lot and the interior lot it abuts. Each of the existing lots contains a dwelling. However, collectively they also feature a third dwelling, which is a two-family dwelling that occupies the rear yards of both lots. In other words, it straddles the property line between the 2 lots. The proposed lot configuration would situate that third dwelling on its own lot of record, and that lot would feature 29.35 feet of frontage along North Rocheblave Street. The 2 original lots' frontage along La Perouse Street will remain unchanged, but their depths will be reduced by 29 to 30 feet. Since the proposed subdivision involves the separation of one existing main use on 2 separate parcels, it's to be reviewed under Policy E as put forth in Article 3, Section 325 of the subdivision regulations. Policy E waives the requirement for a public hearing for minor subdivisions and authorizes the executive director to grant administrative approval to plans proposing new lot lines that will separate buildings constructed prior to 1929, provided that it meets 5 specific conditions. This proposal is not eligible for administrative approval because it only meets 2 of the policy's 5 conditions. The proposed North Rocheblave Street, proposed lot A2, also constitutes a reversal of the corner lot's La Perouse Street frontage, which is not consistent with Section 518 of the subdivision regulations. Nevertheless, the proposal eliminates an existing nonconformity by creating a separate lot of record for the dwelling that currently straddles the lot line between the 2 existing lots and is consistent with the master plan. Therefore, the staff recommends tentative approval of subdivision docket 8721 with final approval subject to 5 waivers and 4 provisos.
Thank you, Robin. Is there a representative for the applicant on the call? Hearing none, are there any questions from the commission for the staff? Not, we'll move on to the next subdivision docket 9521.
Subdivision docket 9521 is a request to subdivide 2 existing lots, lots 23 and 24, into 4 new lots of record, lots 23A, 23B, 24A, and 24B. The municipal addresses are 8701 to 03 Green Street, 8705 to 07 Green Street, 1708 to 10 Monroe Street, and 1712 to 14 Monroe Street. 4 existing historic 2-family residential dwellings exist across these 2 lots. 2 residences front on Green Street, while 2 residences front on Monroe Street. This subdivision proposal will put each 2-family dwelling on its own lot of record. However, the proposal creates 4 lots with insufficient lot area and lot depth, 2 lots with insufficient lot width, and creates a reversal of lot frontages, as 2 lots will now front on Monroe Street. The residences are all currently used as rental properties and will continue to exist as rental properties. As there is evidence that these properties were historically developed in their present state, but not before 1929, staff reviews this subdivision as a policy E proposal, which allows the commission to grant waivers for specific insufficiencies. The staff finds that while the subdivision creates these 4 substandard lots in regards to the CZO requirements, the proposal creates an overall improvement to the existing development by separating each dwelling onto its own lot of record, which is compliant with the existing building code. Therefore, staff recommends tentative approval of subdivision docket 9521 with final approval subject to 2 waivers and 4 provisos.
Thank you. Is there an applicant or an applicant representative on the call?
Yes.
Thank you. Since you have 2 minutes.
We were just looking to subdivide the existing.
Can you please?
I'm sorry.
Just say
my
sorry.
name is Jesus Arguelles.
Thank you. And your address, please. Can you say your name and
317
address?
West Honors Point Court in Slaughter, Louisiana.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Jesus Arguelles. Okay. We were looking to do the subdividing on all 4 of them, the 2 properties that are on Green Street. The 2 on Monroe cross into the ones on Green, I believe it is, the way they have it. It just, they cross completely through the 2 existing properties. So we were just looking to subdivide them. They said it was a simple subdivision.
And have you read over the report and understand the waivers and provisos as they're stated?
I'm not really familiar with all this stuff. This is the first time I'm doing this for them. So I'm just kind of, representing them at the time.
I see. And staff, have you gone over the provisos and waivers with the applicant?
Yeah, so the applicants have been sent the report. If there's additional waivers, so this will require after this, so like after the approval today, it's a tentative approval, meaning that you'll need to go to the Board of Zoning Adjustments for 2 additional waivers because the lots don't have the correct minimum permeable open space. That's something that the commission cannot approve today, just because it's not within the subdivision regulations. But all the lot standards, like the lot depth and lot area, those are going to get approved today through policy E. So there is just some additional steps to finish closing this out and it written into the report.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for the applicant or for staff as it relates to the subdivision docket? If not, we'll move on to the next subdivision docket item 10121.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Subdivision docket 101-21 is a request by Macro Properties LLC to re-subdivide 5 existing lots into 1 new lot of record 32-A located in an MU2.
Sorry,
high
this is Commissioner
intensity-
Lund. I can't understand if Joseph could speak a little louder or into the microphone.
Yes, thank you for that reminder.
And this is Commissioner Witry. I'm going to recuse myself from the zoning docket.
Thank you, Commissioner Witry.
So the subdivision is located in an MU2 high intensity mixed use district within the Central City neighborhood. The proposal would result in new dimensions and an irregular shape for proposed lot 32A. The site is vacant and covered with concrete paving and live ground cover and enclosed with a metal fence. The applicant has stated that the purpose is to allow for future development with further clarification that would involve some form of residential development. Prior to that, the staff has reviewed the subdivision for all types of uses permitted in the MU2 district. As additionally reviewed by Policy B in accordance with Article 3, Section 3.2, and staff finds the proposal doesn't meet all of the three criteria. In addition to Policy B standards, CPC applies a rule to subdivision regulations which create an irregular shape. Typically, the City Planning Commission approves subdivisions with irregular shape that propose an extension from the regular lot that is less than 15% of the rectangular portion of the lot. As shown in Table 2 of the staff report, the proposed dogleg extension results in a percentage of about 16.44%, exceeding the 15% threshold for major and minor subdivisions as established by staff, meaning that the lot 32-A would technically be a major L-shaped lot. The staff would therefore not usually support the subdivision as proposed, but since the subdivision is simply combining existing lots, with the dogleg being formed from the smallest lot that does currently have street frontage, the staff can support the exception due to the proposal's unique circumstances. The proposed re-subdivision does not interfere with the goals for the plan for the 21st century's mixed-use high-density future land use designation, and does meet the bulk and yard standards of the MU2 district. These factors would allow the support of the development of the vacant site with a range of community uses in the Central City neighborhood. The staff therefore recommends tentative approval of Subdivision Docket 101-21, with final approval subject to group proposals.
Thank you, Joseph. Is there an applicant or an applicant's representative on the call?
Yes, this is Zella May, 2525 Burgundy Street, New Orleans.
Thank you. Go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, I just wanted to say thank you. I thought the staff did a very thorough report. We agree with the tentative approval and the provisos. And the only question I didn't understand is on the agenda, the very last sentence said new business recommended for deferral. I don't know what that meant. If somebody could explain.
I can explain, Zola. This is Stephen. It doesn't apply. What happens is when we insert the agenda into the website that is used here, a lot of the formatting gets thrown off. And so that's supposed to be the header for the next section, and it just kind of got tagged on to the bend of yours.
Okay, thank you. So
Okay,
I have
great.
nothing further to say. That was the only question I had.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions of the commissioners to the applicant or to staff? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next zoning docket, item 7121.
So zoning docket 71 through 7621 are applications that were received for this meeting. Given our staff limitations, they need to be deferred to the September 14th meeting, and so that the commission can consider these in globo for deferral to that meeting.
Thank you, Stephen. Do we need to call these out, or we can just simply say that as you just stated?
We can leave it at that, and then when we officially defer them, we'll list them all out by name.
Okay, great. I believe next on the agenda do we break, sorry, do we break for the recess now, or do we go through the subdivision draft regulations?
I can speak to that real quickly. This is Steven. You as a commission had voted to reconsider the draft subdivision regulations at this meeting. We noticed it for this meeting. After doing that, we realized that while we had noticed it the proper number of times, there are required to be 20 days between the first and last date of notice. There were only 15. So we needed to renotice it, and to do that, the matter has to be deferred to the September 14th meeting. So we have renoticed it for September 14th, and the commission just needs to take the action of deferring it to the September 14th meeting.
Great, thank you. So that concludes our reading of the docket items. We'll be taking a 30-minute recess in which the public will have time to comment. And I think
We
we'll
do
put-
have,
Oh.
well, we just need to say that the subdivision ratifications, we're going to take those up after.
Right, we'll review those. We'll do those after we read all the comments, correct? Okay, great. So we'll be taking a 30-minute recess. Can I have a motion to recess for 30 minutes?
Commissioner Witry will set a motion for ending now at 2:28, and we'll start again at 3:30 this afternoon.
Commissioner Brown.
Wait, at 3:30 or 3 o'clock?
At
I
3
need an hour.
I know it's 2 for 1. Okay.
Very
but,
busy.
you know.
Okay. We'll do for 3 o'clock, please. Just making sure everyone's paying attention.
Thank you, Commissioner Witry. So there's a motion on the table by Commissioner Witry and seconded by Commissioner Brown to recess until 3 p.m. Call the question, Commissioner Alexander. You're on mute.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Flick, yes. Commissioner Lunn. I don't see Commissioner Lunn. Commissioner Stewart. Also stepped off. Commissioner Sieg.
Yes.
Thank you. And Commissioner Witry.
Yes.
Great. So we'll pause for recess and return at 3 p.m. I believe we're waiting for.
Commissioner Flick, I am here. If for some reason my video won't allow me to do video because it's saying the host has prevented it.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Alexander. I think we have enough for a quorum. So we'll start the meeting. Thank you. With roll call, Commissioner Alexander.
Here.
There you are. Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Flick, present. Commissioner Lunn. Let's see who yet. Commissioner Stewart.
Present.
Commissioner Stieg.
Here.
There you are. And Commissioner Witry.
Present.
Thank you. And we want to start with the public comments.
Yes, first public comments we have are for zoning docket 5721. That is the first item on the agenda. First comment is from Patrick Davis from Atlanta, Georgia, representing Chick-fil-A in support. My name is Patrick Davis with Restaurant Development for Chick-fil-A. Thank you to the City Planning Commission staff for the review of this conditional use and recommendation for approval for this location. We were drawn to the site given its history as a fast food and drive-through location. In fact, we originally anticipated repurposing the existing building on the site, which wouldn't require a conditional use. However, upon further study, we have customized the site plan that you see before you today to maximize efficiency for a safe and pleasant service experience. Our goal with a proposal for new construction is always to be a great neighbor by serving guests as quickly and efficiently as possible. Thank you for your consideration today. Next comment is from Todd Rogers, 125 Town Park Drive, Suite 300, Kennesaw, Georgia, in support. My name is Todd Rogers with Graydon Engineering, and I am the civil project manager for this project. We have proposed a site plan that can accommodate traffic flow in a safe manner, but also incorporates pedestrian-friendly spaces on site. This is a tricky balance to strike, particularly on a very busy intersection such as here, but I think we have managed to strike that balance. We respectfully request you grant the variances necessary to allow this site to move forward, which addresses all of the anticipated needs for this location. Next, from Oscar Brown, 3600 Desire Parkway, in support. My name is Oscar Brown and I'm from the Desire neighborhood. I wanted to provide my support for this new Chick-fil-A in my city. I've known Ben and his family for more than 20 years. I can't wait to hit up his drive-thru with my family. I am asking that the commission please make sure that the building is allowed to be placed in such a way that makes sense for cars to get in and out quickly. I know this team will be great about moving cars in and off the site. Thank you for your support. Next, from Emily Brott, 4514 Bank Street, in support. My name is Emily Brott and I live in Mid-City. I am so excited to see Chick-fil-A in Mid-City at this corner. I'm hoping that the CPC makes sure the restaurant is built to allow for the best traffic flow in and out of the location since it's such a well-traveled location. I can hardly wait to get chicken minis for breakfast in my neighborhood. I think this will be a great addition to Mid-City. Next, from Lee LaFleur, 59 North Park Place, in support. My name is Lee LaFleur. I'm a third-generation New Orleanian, a small business owner in Orleans Parish, and live close to this location. I've known the Chick-fil-A owner-operator for almost 2 decades and have always known him to be involved in the community through various ways. My family and I are very excited to see Chick-fil-A come to the corner, and even more excited that it will be locally owned by a person who is committed to the betterment of New Orleans. I am asking the CPC to ensure that the new building is placed on the property to allow for the best traffic flow in and out of location. Thank you. Next, from Julie Whiteman, 1914 St. Roch Avenue, in support. My name is Julie Whiteman. I live in the St. Roch neighborhood. I am so thrilled to be getting Chick-fil-A so close to my home, and I think the drive-through concept is perfect for this corner. With everyone else who will be excited about this new asset, I hope that the CPC will work with the developer to make sure the building can be placed on the property so that the traffic flow in and out will be efficient. It seems like that alone will make a huge difference for customers and the surrounding community, as well as drivers in the area. Next, from Sarah Parks, 3113 Louisiana Avenue Parkway, in support. My name is Sarah Parks and I live and work in the city. I am the executive director of Grace at the Green Light. We have partnered with Ben at his current Oakwood location to help feed the city's homeless. They have donated hundreds of pounds of chicken to our feeding program and have bought teams to serve our morning early breakfasts. Living close to this new location, I'm also very excited about the prospect of my 4 kids working for Ben. I'm asking that the CPC please ensure that Chick-fil-A can build their restaurant on the property so as to maximize the in and out of traffic on the site. Ben is interested in serving his community, and I have full confidence he will work with the community to make this restaurant a positive asset for the neighborhood. Next, from Kristen Early, 2555 Severn Avenue, Suite 200 Metairie, in support. My name is Kristen Early, and I am the commercial real estate broker for this project, representing Chick-fil-A. I brought this site to Chick-fil-A because it was well zoned for a fast food restaurant with a heavy drive-through demand. It also has a history of serving this use and serving it well. The Chick-fil-A team considered using the existing building on the site, and although it was a viable option, this new layout and option is an even better solution. Thank you for considering our conditional use request today. Next, from Andrew Bear, 1373 Madrid Street, in support. My name is Andrew Bear and I live in New Orleans. Chick-fil-A in my city is such a huge win for us as a family with young kids. A drive-through only concept makes this option for our family incredibly convenient. Where they place the building on the property will make a major difference to my future customer experience. I am hoping that the CPC realizes this as they work with Chick-fil-A to bring this much welcomed asset to the city. Next, from Ben McLeish, 1920 St. Roch Avenue, in support. My name is Ben McLeish and I am a future franchise owner-operator of this Chick-fil-A. I live close by in the St. Roch neighborhood. For both of these reasons, I have a fundamental stake in this store serving the nearby community in the best possible way. I think that site plan does just that and will allow our team to service the public as efficiently and safely as possible. Thank you for your consideration. Next, from Chuck Morse, 1433 North Claiborne Avenue, in support. My name is Chuck Morse and I live in New Orleans. I have been involved with economic development for many years and support the Chick-fil-A project at 4068 Tulane Avenue. The restaurant will bring much needed jobs and contracting opportunities to the city. The owner-operator for this location has a storied history of caring for communities in New Orleans. A Chick-fil-A at this corner will surely spur additional economic development for this very important corridor in our city. I am asking that the CPC work with the applicant to ensure that the placement of the new building will be conducive to traffic flow in and out. Chick-fil-A has great systems to move cars quickly, and the proper placement of this restaurant will be vital to ensuring proper traffic flow on and around the restaurant. Thanks in advance for considering my recommendation. Respectfully, Chuck Morse. Next, from Joy Williams, 1811 Mandeville Street, in support. My name is Joy Williams, and I was born and raised in New Orleans. I have seen all the hard work that the owner-operator, Ben McLeish, has done to help revitalize communities in New Orleans before starting with Chick-fil-A. I've seen him honor the storied culture and raise up local leadership while living in the community. As I drive by this location frequently, I hope that the city will allow for this new restaurant to be built in such a way that will make sure cars can get easily in and out. I can't wait to get my favorite Cobb salad right away. Next, from Clark Heed, 4 Pin Standing LLC, 4101 South Carrollton Avenue, in support. My partnership, 4 Pin Standing LLC, has owned the adjacent quarter at 4101 South Carrollton since 2005. We have watched businesses come and go. We want to express our enthusiastic support for the proposed Chick-fil-A. This is exactly the type of development that will strengthen the neighborhood, create jobs, and generate tremendous sales in tax dollars. Please do not let bureaucracy stand in the way of this property's revitalization. To my disgust, bureaucracy's inaction caused New Orleans to lose the Nike store, Nike's goodwill, Nike's 40 employees, and Nike's $6,500,000 in sales to Jefferson Parish. Please let's not lose another major national brand. Our community needs real brands and commerce, not more payday loan companies, title transfer companies, convenience store, liquor stores, etc. I would also like to ask the commission to please modify the provisos as requested by Chick-fil-A. They know their business and traffic flow better than any of us. It is really important developments of this impact level to have efficient design. All quick service concepts are moving towards auto-oriented designs. This is a major corridor with 6 lanes of traffic and one of the busiest intersections in the city, not Magazine and Oak, with a lot of pedestrians walking by. Next, from Scott Schneider, 6227 General Diaz Street, in support. My name is Scott and I was born and raised in New Orleans. I'm glad to hear that Chick-fil-A is moving in. Having a solid, quick option for me and my family to take advantage of close to the house will be a big win. I hope the CPC will allow for a smart design concept that allows for the efficient flow of traffic to match up with the efficient processes Chick-fil-A uses to serve its guests. In my experience, no one does it better than Chick-fil-A. Next, from Andy Thomas, 7312 Canal Boulevard, in support. My name is Andy Thomas and I live in Orleans Parish near Mid-City. My family is very excited that there may be a new Chick-fil-A location opening near our home. This corner appears to be an ideal location for a restaurant, especially if it is designed to properly allow cars to line up. Chick-fil-A always does a wonderful job facilitating traffic and serving customers at their locations, and I'm sure this one will be no different. I hope the city will listen to the company's expertise when considering the design. Next, from Garen Saikainen, in support of this application. My name is Garrett, and I was born and raised in New Orleans. I have 3 kids, and Chick-fil-A is the only fast food we allow our children to eat. The location will be perfect as it is very close to our house. I can't wait to bring my family to eat here. I am in support of this new location. I know that Chick-fil-A will do a great job of moving cars in and out if they are able to build in the most efficient way to ensure smart traffic flow. Next, from Brian Clary, 730 South Pierce, New Orleans, in support. I work on South Pierce, 1 block from where the Chick-fil-A will be. I believe this is a great thing for the neighborhood. It can only improve the neighborhood's social environment and increase property values. This is a positive step in the right direction for improving Tulane and Carrollton. Next, from Lisa Scherher, 730 South Pierce Street, in support. Bringing the Chick-fil-A to Tulane and Carrollton area would be a great improvement for this up-and-coming area. Sydney is striving to make the area free from the obvious imperfections and is doing a great job. I can't wait to see what is next item on Sydney's list. Next, from Sabrina Gasson, 3400 Kent Avenue, Metairie, in support. I work on the same block where the Chick-fil-A is planning on opening. This block is not very safe. I constantly witness people doing drugs, loitering, begging, walking the block, arguing, amongst other things. I'm looking forward to gaining a well-known fast food restaurant. I believe it will bring a much-needed uplift to the area. It will definitely improve the area, and hopefully more places will follow their lead and clean up and gear to a safer neighborhood where we can all work, visit, and live. And the last comment is from Becca Hurst, 800 Barone Street, paid representative, in support of the application. Becca Hurst with Sherman Strategies. I am writing to summarize the requested proviso changes to support the efficient site design as proposed. Removal of provisos 1A, 4B, 4C, 12, and 13. 1A on building location, 4B and 4C to allow existing curb cuts and driveways to remain. Removal of 12 and 13 on parking lot design and reducing circulation. In addition, waivers to allow existing curb cut and an additional 10 parking spaces for a total of 19. This is the last comment on any zoning docket today.
Great, thank you. And thank you to the community for sending in your comments. It's always great to hear from members of the community, not only for the benefit of the business, but also for the franchise owner. Are there any questions from the commission or a motion? I'll just remind you that this is up for docket for approval subject to 13 provisos, with the request to remove the provisos as just stated in that last comment, provisos 1A, 4B, 4C, 12, and 13, and to also allow the waivers.
Commissioner Flick, I just have one question for Mr. Sherman, since he's here. On the request for, I guess, 4B, 4C, 12, and 13, could you just kind of restate, is that the best way that, based on the design that you see that for that Chick-fil-A to be fully operational at that location? To be
Thank you.
decentralized?
Absolutely, that is what we feel would be best. 4B and 4C are curb cuts and driveways, and they respect the existing conditions, which will also be regulated by DOTD. They have a final approval. 12 and 13, removal of those are also important. 12 requires us to reduce the parking spaces. We'd like to have 19, which is a really reasonable amount to handle folks that want to walk up to the pickup window, or any Uber or Grubhub or those type of drivers. And then 13 is vehicle circulation. And we do not feel that it's possible to reduce circulation. We've hit the right balance.
This is Commissioner Lyon. Mr. Sherman, question, what did that last statement, could you explain that? You don't think it's
So
hit the right balance of how, what do you mean?
Yeah, so there's actually two provisos that on their face actually appear a little bit conflicting to us. One proviso, which we really like, requires circulation routes for motor vehicles to work well. That's 8, and we like that staying in there. Of course, we want to have a site that works well. Proviso 13 says, and I'll quote, vehicular circulation space shall be reduced to the minimum needed to adequately serve parking, loading, drive-through, and vehicular use areas, subject to approval of staff. And we would respectfully say there is no reduction that's possible. We want the maximum amount of queuing space so that we can efficiently handle all traffic on site, which is what this location is designed to do.
Was there any type of traffic study done?
Yeah, so we are, the final process, which would come subsequent to, we have a traffic engineer on board, Graydon Engineering is on board. This is a state highway, so we actually have to go through the state traffic processes for use, and that process is ongoing. They've asked for final design and hydrology so far, so we'll have an ongoing process with DOTD over the coming couple months.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Stieg. Notwithstanding all these other comments, I'm going to make a motion for approval in accordance with staff recommendation and not with the requested waivers, because if I understand the staff report correctly, I think those provisos are needed to avoid to keep it in keeping with the city and not a suburban look. And so I'm going to go with staff recommendation with a motion for approval with all of the staff recommended provisos.
We have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
I will not be supporting the motion. I'd like to explain why, or do we need to get a second first?
It's got to die for lack of a second first.
Yeah, we need it.
We either need a second or we need to let it die.
Any seconds? Hearing none.
I accept its death.
Thank you, Commissioner Stieg. Is there another motion?
So I will go with another motion. And my motion would be to basically go against staff recommendation based on what we just heard from the representative of the applicant, so that we can actually move forward with the layout of the removal of provisos 4B, 4C, 12, and 13, and then also allowing the removal of 12, 13, and then up with additional parking spaces of 9 for a total of 19 total parking spaces.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Stewart motions, Commissioner Witry seconds. Is there any discussion?
This is Steven, just quickly clarifying, a number of those restate TZO requirements. Are you granting waivers, like basically waivers as needed to accomplish the removal of those provisos? I can't kind of like come up with waiver language right now, but if the intent is to grant waivers as needed, we'll
grant
just
waivers
do
as needed, so that it can get accomplished as is, as stated in the motion.
I apologize. I just had a technical glitch. Could you restate? I'm so sorry. I know this is not my time to talk. Was it 1A, 4B, and 4C? I just couldn't hear.
Right.
Go ahead, Commissioner Stewart.
So it was removal of provisos 1A, 4B, 4C, 12, and 13. With the 1A building location, the 4B and 4C, and the removal of 12 and 13, and then for the allowable of the parking spaces for a total of 19. In addition to that, Stephen will grant, the motion would also include anything is necessarily needed to grant the waivers so that they can all be accomplished.
Thank you, Commissioner Stewart. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Commissioner Lund, I would like to ask Commissioner Witry if she would go ahead and explain what her thoughts were about not going along with Commissioner Teague's motion. I just think it might be educational.
So full disclosure, I've been to Chick-fil-A twice in my life, and once this summer, and I was amazed at the traffic patterns. Full disclosure, I'm also a vegan, okay? So I had gone and I was amazed that it was in an urban setting. Their traffic patterns with having 2 to 3 lanes, in addition to parking, in addition to lots of pedestrian traffic, in addition to, as just a mother in the car, there were actually lots of team members that were taking orders and bringing out food to various cars, that I got sort of nervous, about all these people walking around and actually delivering the food. But there was a system to this. And so when I think of the corridor that I have passed thousands of times, on Tulane and Carrollton, and think about the pedestrian traffic there, I agree with the public comment that I think that it has to be really well thought out. And I think between the traffic, people getting in and out, and then having their team members taking orders and bringing out food, I just feel like that there needs to be enough space for that to be accomplished. And so that's why I would like to support Commissioner Steig's motion.
Commissioner Stewart's motion.
Oh, Stewart, other S. Yes, Stewart.
Thank you, Commissioner Witry. Are there any other comments? If not, we'll call the vote.
I would just like to say that my reasoning was the same as Commissioner Witry's. My limited exposure, very limited, probably even more than hers, has been the very same thing. And my concern would be traffic flow, and they seem to have a good model for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. So I'll call the question. Commissioner Alexander.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Flick. Yes. Commissioner Lund.
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart.
Yes.
Commissioner Steig.
No.
Commissioner Witry.
Yes.
Yes, that's 6 yeas, 1 no. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next docket item, 6821.
So there are no public comments.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or a motion? This is the Caesars renovation of the Harris Casino property, and it is set for approval subject to 3 provisos. Again, the applicant had asked for a number of revisions to said provisos. I have a few written down, 3A, 3B. Does the staff happen to know or recall what those were?
Madam Chair, we still have the representative present. Could
Oh.
we just allow him to just kind of restate those? I know he
Sure,
had
Mr. Sure.
for those provisos.
Thank you, Commissioner Stewart. Mr. Moab, could you please restate the
Yes, ma'am.
provisos? Thank you.
Well, and I think after getting questioned by Commissioner Brown, I think where we're really at is we're looking for a waiver to Proviso 3B for exterior lighting and Proviso 3J for short-term bicycle parking. And I think the rest of them, so A and J, I think we've figured out, and G, we just have to make that work in terms of checking our lease and determining the proper way forward. But ultimately, we're renting the building from the city, and the street is the city. So I'm sure we can, determine what the right if there's encroachment or not. So it's just B and J, 3B and 3J.
Thank you, Ms. Nora. Is there any discussion from commissioners or a motion?
So can I just ask Ms. Moore, so you're opposed against having bicycles?
No, sir. What I was saying is that we have 40 existing bicycle spots that are used primarily by employees and not I'm not saying never by patrons, but it's not frequent at all. And we never really get close to capacity. And so we feel like those 40 are enough. Ultimately, we certainly don't think that we need another 68. And so we're ultimately asking for a waiver, but want to do the right thing. It's simply based off of our observation of what we have now.
So do you have designated employee bicycle spots, or is it your employees just use the?
Oh yeah, it's open to any. Just we just tend to notice that employees use it much more frequently than guests. Here we have everything under surveillance, and even we're always watching them, try and make sure nobody's stealing bikes, and so maybe we're paying attention more than your average business with the bike rack kind of a thing. That's kind of where those observations have come from.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or a motion?
So are you looking to remove the waiver 3B or 3J?
He's looking to remove both 3B and 3J.
Okay.
The
Thanks.
exterior lighting and the bicycle parking.
And besides that, it would be approval with just one proviso?
No, the provisos, the third one is broken into multiple.
Okay.
I think you would just need to state those specific letters.
Yeah, and commissioners, this is Stephen again. Kind of similar to the previous one, there would need to be corresponding waivers of the lighting height limit and the bike parking requirement. And so you would do the approval with 2 waivers, 3 provisos, deleting 3B and 3J, and then retaining the rest of them.
If this is Commissioner Brown, I'm prepared to make a motion if that's okay.
Go ahead.
I'd like to move approval per staff's recommendation with the elimination of provisos 3B and 3J and adding the accompanying waivers.
Second, Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you, Commissioner Stewart. Commissioner Brown has made a motion to approve the application with the exception of zoning provisos 3B and 3J, and seconded by Commissioner Stewart. Is there any discussion? If not, I'll call the question. Commissioner Alexander.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Flick, yes. Commissioner Lunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart,
Yes.
Commissioner Stieg,
Yes.
and Commissioner Witry.
Yes.
Thank you. Unanimous. The motion passes. Next
Thank you.
zoning docket 6921.
There are no public comments.
Thank you. And this was the owner had requested a deferral to the September 14th meeting. So we're looking for a motion for deferral, correct? Stephen.
Yes, that's correct.
Commissioner Witry will make a motion to defer zoning docket 069-21 to the September 14th meeting.
Thank you. Commissioner Witry, is there a second?
Second by Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you, Commissioner Stewart. Is there any discussion? I don't think so. I'll call the question. Commissioner Alexander?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Flick, yes. Commissioner Lunn?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Stewart?
Yes.
Commissioner Stieg?
Yeah. Yes.
Commissioner Witry?
Yes.
Unanimous. The motion passes. Next zoning docket 7020.
No public comments.
Thank you, Paul. This was also up for deferral to the September 14th meeting. Looking for a motion for deferral.
Commissioner Brown will move to defer this item to the September 14th commission meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Is there a second?
Witry will second.
Commissioner Lunn will second.
Commissioner Witry will second. This is there any discussion? No. I'll call the question. Commissioner Alexander? Yes. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Flick? Yes. Commissioner Lunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Stieg?
Yes.
And Commissioner Witry?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next zoning docket or subdivision docket 1421.
Commissioner
No
Witry is
public.
going to recuse herself from this vote.
Thank you, Commissioner Witry.
No public comments.
Okay, this was for tentative approval with 10 provisos and 1 waiver with a request for 5A to be edited to an irrevocable letter of credit approved by a city attorney. Is there any discussion or a motion?
I'll move approval. This is Stieg.
Do you want to include?
With the proviso that you recited.
Thank you, Commissioner Stieg. Do you have a second?
Brown seconds.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Is there any discussion? Now I'll call the question. Commissioner Alexander? Yes. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Flick? Yes. Commissioner Lunn? Commissioner Lunn seems to be on pause. Commissioner Stewart?
Yes.
Commissioner Stieg?
Yes.
And Commissioner Witry has recused herself. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Next is zoning doc or subdivision docket 8621. With no public comment.
No
Correct.
public comment.
Thank you. And this was for tentative approval subject to 3 provisos. Is there any discussion or a motion?
Commissioner Witry will make a motion, tentative approval for zoning docket 086-21 with 3 provisos.
Thank you. Is there a
Commissioner
second?
Alexander will second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Alexander. Is there any discussion? If not, I'll call the question. Commissioner Alexander? Yes. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Flick? Yes. Commissioner Lunn? God, I'm just going to drop off. Commissioner Stewart?
Yes.
Commissioner Stieg?
Yes.
Commissioner Witry?
Yes.
Yes. Unanimous, 6 yeas. The motion passes. Next up is subdivision docket 8721.
No public
was-
comments.
Thank you. And this was tentative approval with 5 waivers and 4 provisos. Is there a discussion or a motion?
I'll move approval in accordance with staff recommendation and provisos.
Thank you, Commissioner Sieg. Is there a second?
Second, Brown.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Commissioner Steve made a motion for approval, seconded by Commissioner Brown. Is there any discussion? No. We'll call the question. Commissioner Alexander?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Flick? Yes. I was waiting for my own response. Commissioner Stewart? Commissioner
Yes.
Stewart. Commissioner Stieg?
That was a new one. I'll vote yes, and I'm not waiting
you.
on my own response.
And Commissioner Witry?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Next zoning docket is 9521, subdivision docket 9521. And this was also tentative approval with 2 waivers and 4 provisos. Is there any discussion or a motion?
Commissioner Alexander, I move for approval with an accommodation, in accordance with staff recommendations and provisos,
Thank you, Commissioner Alexander. Is there a second?
Second by,
Witry will, go ahead, Jonathan.
seconded by Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you. Commissioner Alexander to approve staff report for subdivision docket 9521, seconded by Commissioner Stewart. Is there any discussion? No, I'll call the question. Commissioner Alexander?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Flick? Yes. Commissioner Stewart?
Yes.
Commissioner Stieg?
Yes.
And Commissioner Witry?
Yes.
Thank you. Unanimous, the motion passes. Next up is subdivision docket 10121. And this was tentative approval subject to 3 provisos.
Commissioner Witry is going to recuse herself.
Thank you, Commissioner Witry. Recusing herself. Is there discussion or motion?
What was the staff recommendation, Chairman, Chairperson?
It was Chairwoman.
Chair.
Chair. Tentative approval subject to 3 provisos.
I move approval in accordance with staff recommendation.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Commissioner Brown, seconds.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Is there any discussion? No, I'll call the question. Commissioner Alexander?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Flick? Yes.
I am back. Apologies. Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Lunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stieg?
Yes.
And Commissioner Witry has recused herself. Motion passes.
Madam Chair, you forgot.
Oh, Commissioner Stewart. I'm sorry. Commissioner Stewart.
Yes.
How quickly our past chair is forgotten, Jonathan.
The next zoning docket items 7121 to 7621 have all been deferred. Stephen, do you want to read these in?
Yeah, so they are recommended for deferral. It's zoning docket 7121 for Orleans Justice Center at 2750 Perdido. Zoning docket 7221 for 21 Penn Charters. Zoning docket 7321 for 6750 Franklin Avenue. Zoning docket 7421 for 61 Penn Bassett Street. Zoning docket 7521 for the Protect Treme Interim Zoning District. And then finally, zoning docket 7621 at 3801 Dauphine Street, all of which are recommended for deferral to September 14th.
Great, thank you. Is there a motion for deferral from Commission?
Brown, I'm for deferral of all the aforementioned items until the September 14th public hearing.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Brown.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. Motion is to defer zoning docket 7221 to 7621 to the September 14th meeting. Is there any discussion? No. Call the question. Commissioner Alexander,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Flick, yes. Commissioner Lunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart,
Yes.
thank you. Commissioner Sieg,
Yes.
and Commissioner Wittry.
Yes.
Unanimous, the motion passes. Next up is the consideration of the draft regulation. This is also a deferral to the September 14th meeting as well, correct? So we're looking for a motion of deferral for the subdivision draft regulations.
Commissioner Brown moves to defer the regulations until the September 14th meeting. Is that correct?
Yes. Great. Is there a second?
Commissioner Lund will second.
Second.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner Lunn. Motion to defer consideration of draft subdivision regulation to the September 14th meeting by Commissioner Brown and seconded by Commissioner Lunn. Is there any discussion? If not, I'll call the question. Commissioner Alexander,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Flick, yes. Commissioner Lunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart,
Yes.
Commissioner Stieg,
Yes.
and Commissioner Wittry.
Yes.
Thank you. Unanimous, the motion passes. And our last item of business is the subdivision ratifications.
There's a list of subdivisions there, and these are ones where you as commission are authorizing CPC to approve these administratively. We've determined them to be eligible for administrative approval.
Thank you. Is there a motion for approval or questions? Are there any questions or a motion for approval?
Commissioner Stieg will move for approval.
Thank you. Commissioner Steve, any seconds?
Wittry will second.
Thank you, Commissioner Wittry. So motion by Commissioner Steve to approve the subdivision ratification, seconded by Commissioner Wittry. Are there any comments or questions? If not, we'll call the question. Commissioner Alexander.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Flick, yes. Commissioner Lunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Stieg
Yes.
and Commissioner Wittry.
Yes.
Motion passes. That's all we have on the agenda. Is there anything else or? Do we
Commissioner
make-
Flick, can I take a moment of,
Sure.
I don't know what we'd call it parliamentary wise, personal privilege, but I think I speak on behalf of all of us. But I want to thank Commissioner Stewart for real
Yay. Bravo.
real leadership at a time of COVID and walking us through really unusual circumstances and difficult regulations and procedures, and kept all these Zoom meetings on track, which isn't the easiest thing to do. So I just want to thank him for all of his leadership over his past chair term.
Yes. Here, here. Thank you
Well
so
said.
much.
Thanks, Jonathan. You did
Yeah,
a great job.
Thank you.
And congratulations to Commissioner Flick for
Thank you.
her new position as chair. We're in good hands, as we've seen today. And I'll tell you, I'm just glad I chaired this commission when we were live, because you all did. I don't know if you know this.
It was a whole lot
kudos.
easier.
Yes.
Well, thank you. And thank you, Commissioner Stewart.
Right. Yeah. And I just want to thank you guys. It's always a pleasure working with you, commissioners. But also, since we have a new chair, I'm more than sure we'll return to in-person meetings real soon. So thank you, Commissioner Flick, for that.
My pleasure, I think.
And if anyone sees Commissioner Mobley, tell her that she's vice chair.
Okay, so I guess the last order of business is a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved, Commissioner Lund.
Thank you. Any seconds?
Second.
Commissioner. Thank you. And we can just do a wave of hands. Aye. Approved. And thank you all so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye all. Stay safe.
Bye.